Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Jack Weinberger, Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia, and producer Zach Bloomquist, the best executive producer in the game. You may notice that there's no camera on Zach today because right as I was setting up, I ripped apart one of our pieces of equipment by accident, and we don't have a backup, so I need to order
What do you mean
one.
you ripped apart?
There's the video capture device that you use you use it to essentially get the video on these from the camera to the screen, and I accidentally ripped the cord off. So I need to get a new one. Yeah, I didn't realize what I was pulling on, and I should catch myself here before.
Zach's here in his highlighter green.
Yeah, Zach's wearing his highlighted green. He looks great. Zach looks great, but unfortunately, he can't be on camera today due to destruction.
Ziggy, our shirts are very similar. Are they not?
They are pretty similar. Zach, can you throw up the three up and just real quick for a second here? It's basically, I didn't get the memo of the blue plain T-shirt.
That's a long sleeve shirt you got, right?
It looks like a short sleeve. You can see.
Is it short sleeve?
I mean, you can see his arm.
I don't know if it's rolled
whatever.
up. I don't know if it's like rolled up or not. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty similar. I guess mine's a little bit like a lighter type of blue.
Brought to you by the Paul Farrington Show. Brought to you by plain blue T-shirts. There you go. If you're enjoying this content, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the show. If you or anyone you know is interested in becoming a sponsor of the Paul Farrington Show heading into the 2025 NFL season.
I mean, you just heard that incredible ad read from Paul, who would not want to sponsor us after that.
Who wouldn't want to sponsor? Who wouldn't want to sponsor the show? You can go to paulfarringtonshow@gmail.com, send us an email, or you can always message us on Instagram at Farrington Show. Twitter, you can message us as well, Farrington Show. Follow us on those platforms as well. We appreciate everybody for all of the engagement that we've had, especially over the last couple of weeks. It's been really good getting back into the flow of things with the NFL draft, some news. It had been a long time since we had some real noteworthy NFL news to report on, to react to, and the NFL draft gave us a nice boost. So we're happy everyone's enjoying the content again. And today we're going to be doing an NFL mailbag. Jack was a little disappointed that we didn't get any wacky questions, but we have a lot of good questions from listeners today. We're going to try to get to.
This is how you can tell we are out of interesting news to react to.
I'll be abstaining from all football questions that are asked.
Yeah,
I'm here with the funny, stupid, like what a mailbag should be nonsense.
Well, maybe we can work some in. Maybe there. We can always ask mailbag questions ourselves. So perhaps we can have some come in as we go on with the show to get Jack involved as we're going along here, talking about the NFC North and Cam Ward's in here a little bit, Browns and Giants, some quarterback talk, a lot of NFL draft stuff still. Did you guys see in terms of some of the news real quick before we get into it? You see the NFL draft in Washington 2027. So next year is Pittsburgh, Washington, D.C. after that. Maybe perhaps we're looking ahead at future trips. I don't know if D.C.
That's a pretty good
capital.
lineup.
Yeah, it's pretty
Pittsburgh,
good.
D.C.
You see Minnesota, Minneapolis in 2029 is in play right now.
Ruins it.
I mean, can you imagine? Downtown Minneapolis, maybe we head over to Mall of America Field.
I refuse to go to Minneapolis.
Minneapolis is better than you think. I
No,
promise
it's
you
not.
it's nicer than you think it is. Like, you didn't think Green Bay would be as nice as it was or as fun as it was.
I'm not going to Minneapolis.
Wait, is Pittsburgh? Do you think Pittsburgh is that much better than Minneapolis?
Yes.
Yeah?
By a million miles, yes.
I haven't actually gone out in Minneapolis, like as a tourist. Mostly, I've just been there a couple times at Vikings games, but I thought it was pretty nice. Like, Mississippi River's there.
So you and Ziggy can go to Minneapolis. I will not be in Minneapolis.
Ziggy and I would have a blast in Minneapolis. Are you
Zach
kidding me?
can go to Minneapolis till he replaces me.
2029, I might be a Packers fan by then.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Hopefully not.
I might be a father by then.
You might. Oh my God.
Hopefully not.
I mean, 2029. Jack will be 31 years old.
Yeah,
Like, I think that
I legit could be a father at 2029.
with the line, you think the odds are in favor of you being a father by 2029?
At age 31.
Age 31. Yeah. Well, I guess by the time the draft rolls around, you'd be 30 years old. Middle of your age 30 year.
I'd say like plus 105, plus 110.
Yeah, I think I'd go like plus 160, plus 170.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Yeah.
I think it's still unlikely. I think you become a father at like 32. That's my guess right now.
Maybe like 33.
That's my guess. I thought producer Zach was texting us something. He was not. All right, so
Zach's my father.
the mailbag today should be a good one. We could jump right into it right now. Sounds Epic Music says, Ziggy, after stepping on the greatest field in football, are you closer to being a Green Bay fan than before? This seems to be what people really are interested in on this show right now.
I mean, it's hard to say I'm not closer. I mean, I didn't really move at all, but it is true. I would not have guessed it was the best field in football. Now I'm at least inclined to agree it's the best field in football. That's got to be worth something.
What do you
right?
mean field? You
But
mean
how
stadium or what do you mean field?
But how do you know that?
What do you mean, how do I know that? I was there.
How many stadiums you been inside? 3?
3 or 4.
Yes, that's just impossible.
Wait, and I'm also confused. Do you mean stadium or field?
The field is the stadium.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you meant there. Yeah, it's a very cool state. As someone who's been in a lot of stadiums, it's definitely one of the coolest ones that I've been in.
I think I'm justified in my belief that it's the coolest. I'm not saying that that's like that can't be defeated. Of course, there's a defeater for that belief, but I think I'm justified.
So out of all your current stadiums, Lambeau's number one.
I would predict that it would be the coolest of any field or stadium I could go to.
Well, which ones have you seen? Which NFL stadiums have you seen to your knowledge?
Let's see. So I've seen that. I've been to Soldier Field. I've been to State Farm.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they call the Cardinals one, right?
Yeah, I believe that's State Farm. State Farm actually looks like
it looks like a dump.
I've been to SoFi.
Oh, how was so SoFi? What do you think?
I
of
wasn't
that?
there for football, but I've been to SoFi.
Okay, I haven't been to SoFi yet.
I mean, it's a stadium.
Okay,
it's nicer, right? Like it's nicer than Lambeau Field. There's no doubt about it, but that doesn't make it better.
Just wait till you tour US Bank during our NFL draft coverage in 4 years.
I was gonna say Pittsburgh next year.
Pittsburgh
blows Green Bay away.
Acrisure?
Yes.
It's
whatever that dumb name may be, it blows Lambeau Field away.
All right, so Ziggy is no closer to being a Packer fan, though there are speculations out there. Michael Marill, who is also a member, as it was Sounds Epic Music, and if you become a member, of course, you will have your question read during the show. If you leave a few people leave a ton of comments, and we can't get to all of those, but we try to get to as many of them as we can. Michael Morrell says, based off your reaction to Minnesota's first round pick, when was the last time you had that reaction to a Minnesota draft pick? That reaction you had said it all. Solid job on the draft video.
We've had a stronger reaction to a Minnesota draft pick than that. It just wasn't on air.
Well, yeah, the Lewis Cine selection was an all timer for me in terms of.
I think it wasn't the Lewis Cine selection that really did you. It was the Kyle Hamilton trade.
It was the trade out. It's a trade out of Kyle Hamilton.
What is the Vikings' worst draft pick?
It's just a draft pick that we had where I had a really, really bad reaction to. The trading off of Kyle Hamilton, I was furious. I was sitting alone.
I was ready to buy a Kyle Hamilton jersey that night.
Yeah, I was sitting alone in an apartment in South Bend, Indiana, basically with my fist pressed against the wall.
After you were working on Kyle Hamilton's podcast
while working on the podcast for a year. I wouldn't say I was close to actually punching the wall because I think that would be a problem if you're getting so worked up over a draft that you're going to punch a wall. But I will say, bless you.
Oh, here we go.
I will. Yeah, it was right. He runs in 4, Ziggy.
4 or 5.
I will say though that if there had been a breakable object with a quick cleanup and maybe no potential damage beyond that done, it would have been nice to exert a little bit of my emotions at the time. But the worst one, actually, by far, Michael, and none of you were here for it, was the Christian Ponder.
I was going to bring that
Jack
up.
Knows.
Yeah,
Jack knows.
That was a first round pick.
Jack knows. I don't remember if my reaction, if that leaked into the following day. It probably did at school. I'm not sure I remember it quite well. All I know is that after we selected Christian Ponder, the classic line that my father said, and I threw a tantrum. Like, I really threw a tantrum for this one. My dad looked at me and he loves the draft. He went, it was like on his bucket list and he went to Green Bay. We had a great time. My dad looked at me like right after maybe 10 minutes after the pick and just said, "I'm going to bed. You've ruined the draft." And I felt horrible. But in hindsight, that reaction seems to have been justified given the performance of Ponder as a Viking. Now, again, you shouldn't get that worked up over a draft. I was a kid, but I was pissed off.
He was 12 overall or something like that?
Yeah, he was 12 overall.
Yeah.
I remember opening when me and my dad would get the draft book, the magazines, and I remember flipping through the pages and I was like, second rounder, Dad, second to third rounder. And we picked him at 12. And he was just like, all right, I've had enough. I was like, 12. And then he went to bed.
Wasn't he? He was good though.
Ponder?
No, at Florida State, he was a good
Florida State
quarterback.
was fine, but I mean, you saw Adrian Peterson was running for more yards than he would throw for.
Yes,
it was horrible. That was back when we had an offensive engine in Peterson that if you put anyone who could throw the football next to him, they should be throwing for 300 yards because they had 9 guys in the box. But yeah, that was a temper tantrum. That was pretty bad. All right. Eddie Lacy asks us. Eddie Lacy, former Packer.
Eddie in the chat.
If given the opportunity, would you rather sit in on a film session? Ziggy, we'll go to you on this one. With Luke Kuechly or Aaron Rodgers, assuming that content would not be available to be shot in both scenarios. So you're just Ziggy as a fan or as a person with Luke Kuechly and Aaron Rodgers.
I think the answer is easy. It's obviously Luke Kuechly.
I don't know if it's obvious.
I mean, look, it's Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure he'd be good to sit in on. If you've heard Luke Kuechly break down film, he is next level. And the thing is, honestly, just as like a guy to talk to, I think Luke Kuechly, I know some things about football, but I am nowhere near an NFL level of understanding how offenses and defenses work. Like none of us are, right? So I think Luke Kuechly would do a much better job meeting me at my level, which is a little bit less than NFL All-Pro than Aaron Rodgers would. And that's really the difference maker. I think Aaron Rodgers, more likely than not, would just call me an idiot. What's going on? What's going on?
Apparently, you have Paul's Luke Kuechly's number.
Maybe we could get a Ziggy and Luke Kuechly session going on.
That's probably
right
a fake number.
No, it's real. We had him as a guest on a show once, and I had to communicate with him. It's for something. So Luke Kuechly's phone number's in there. Maybe we could get Luke Kuechly x Ziggy on the show. You want to talk to him?
Yeah.
you want to talk to him?
Give him a call right now.
I can't. I
the
can't
odds
do
he'll
that.
ever reply to that number again is plus 300 billion.
Hey, Luke, Paul Farrington here. Just wondering if you want to do a quick film breakdown with my boy Ziggy.
If you called him, he might pick up.
No.
Like
the first time he might. He'd have he absolutely doesn't know the phone number, but he might just be like...
you'd probably be a contact.
So you'd be like, who is this?
Like, what's this?
I don't know if I would... No, I would not be a contact. I think I'm just a...
Anytime I need a text number for work, it becomes a contact.
Oh, I don't do that.
Yeah, I don't do that either.
Oh, phone number's sitting there.
Same.
Usually, I do a good job,
Luke
I think.
Kuechly seems organized.
So you think there's no world that if I text Luke Kuechly, it comes up as Paul Farrington
if you text him, there's no chance. But if you give him a call, there's a chance you're in the contact book and he picks up because he can't remember.
Yeah, I think he might pick up because he sees a random number. It's like, oh, let me just make sure that this isn't something like ridiculous. Like that I need to answer.
Because you don't have his area code, so you're not like a spam number likely phone number.
I think in terms of the question, I'd like to hang out with Aaron Rodgers.
I can build a ladder to Jupiter and climb it, then he picks up your phone call.
No shot. I have the number.
Yes, 100%.
I think this is trending towards me calling Luke Kuechly on the show, and I'm not going to do that.
You can call him 1,000 times.
I'm going to shut down the conversation before I actually call Luke Kuechly, because that would be problematic for several reasons.
I bet you $1 million doesn't pick up.
$1 million?
Yeah.
I can't do it. We have to move on. We have to move on.
He'd pick up Ziggy's call.
Well, Ziggy, I'm going to shoot you over the number. And hey, Luke, it's Ziggy. You want to go over some film real quick?
I think I'd go Aaron Rodgers, though, for that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Luke Kuechly is fun to listen to break down, but I think I would probably also sit there with Aaron just because I'm more interested in the offense. Well, Luke Kuechly knows all the offensive stuff just as well.
See, I want to learn stuff, and I'm going to learn more from Luke Kuechly than Aaron Rodgers because I think Luke Kuechly's the better teacher than Aaron Rodgers. Have you seen Aaron Rodgers?
I just want to see what happens with Aaron Rodgers in that.
Yeah,
that
Rodgers. I want to see what goes through a good quarterback's mind in watching film.
I think
I'd rather know what goes through a good middle linebacker's mind.
Oh, then that's where we differ.
Yeah. Okay. Snake Oyel says, I think it's Oyel. What is your earliest memory of your team breaking your heart? Be it a terrible loss, trading your favorite player, whatever you can think of. Keep up the great work, boys. Cheering you on. Jack, do you have one? I mean, you had just success after success as a child.
I mean, we talking NFL or going to be any sport? NFL will
or personal life.
Well, you got Scotty Reynolds, Tyler Reynolds, but I'll go.
Yeah, any team. Earliest memory of your sports fandom heartbreak.
Oh, you know what it was? The earliest memory was actually when the Steelers. It was my first time seeing a Steelers home playoff game, and we were a high seed. We were at home, and Jacksonville with David Garrard came in and knocked us out.
Oh, I don't even.
And I was a young kid. I was probably 8 or 9. My first Steeler home playoff game. We lost at home to Jacksonville.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, that was my first memory of like sucking, like sports sucking as a kid.
Ziggy, do you have one? This might be relative. Well, you probably don't have a football one.
Oh, you go for it. I've got one.
As far as heartbreak goes, I mean, I was upset when the Vikings lost to the Eagles, I think, in like 2008. You see, the Vikings don't make the playoffs very often, so we
there's not
much
heartbreak.
But whoa, there's a lot of heartbreak.
Not really.
I would say the first time I was truly heartbroken was the Saints NFC Championship game. That was soul crushing, and I'll like that I will carry with me as a sports fan forever. What about you, Ziggy?
The year's 2019. Thibaut Pinot is the Minnesota Vikings of cycling. The man is the weight of a nation upon him. He's the best French cyclist that we've seen in decades. And every single year, it seems like things end in disappointment. A couple years before, he'd gotten out of the Tour of a virus, but this is finally his year. There's no big competitors. Team Ineos, I'm pretty sure they were called time. I think it was after the Team Sky changes. They're Egan Bernal, who's kind of a bum. No disrespect to Egan Bernal. But Thibaut Pinot, he's finally in his spot. It's stage 18. Today is the day that Thibaut Pinot is finally going to be able to get in
is his name actually Thibaut Pinot?
Yeah.
Is that like Italian?
Thibaut Pinot. Yeah, him.
Okay.
And then he tears his quadricep, has to drop out of the race, isn't able to win. That was his year. You don't understand. It's worse than the Minnesota Vikings. It's like the Minnesota Vikings if they were America's team. And this is the only chance they have to win a Super Bowl probably for 30 years. And also the event's 10 times bigger than the Super Bowl.
That sounds crushing.
And then something ridiculous happens and they don't win and he never recovers, really.
Yeah, sounds terrible.
I'm sorry for Thibaut Pinot. Did Thibaut Pinot ever return?
I mean, he returned to cycling, but the chance was over.
Sorry about that, Ziggy. That sounds crushing.
You know what's even more crushing?
What?
Ravens just released Justin Tucker.
Oh, interesting. I was going to say before we started off.
He sucks now, doesn't he?
Well, we were talking about the news, and he
pretty
has
sure
16,
that's why they released him. I don't think they released him for being a sexual predator.
Yeah, 16 cases of a massage therapist.
That I totally forgot about.
No, I actually forgotten about it too until today. I was reading.
Sucked last. He wasn't that good.
No, he was not very good last year. They drafted.
Said the only reason Harbaugh said earlier today the only reason we'll get rid of him is for football reasons.
Sure. Yeah, sure it is.
We'll see what else going to say there.
I saw that today, and they mentioned that. I believe that they mentioned they were going to proceed as normal, the Ravens, before the draft, and then took a kicker at the top of the 6th round, which is, I think, the first time they've ever drafted a kicker as well. So they given the performance of last year, which was not good, but then on top of that, if you have 16 sexual assault cases against you,
I don't think they care.
Yeah. Oh, I think they care to a degree.
I don't know if they care either.
I think they care to a degree.
In the AFC North, they don't care.
Yeah,
about
I think
that
they care.
Stuff.
If Tucker had,
he just couldn't make kicks last year.
Yeah, but then when you add on top of that,
if he was,
I guarantee, I'm pretty sure that if he did not have these cases against him, he would still be a Baltimore.
No, if he was great last year, like he always is,
he would still be on the team.
They would, they wouldn't care.
He would. But I do think that in this situation, since he wasn't good last year, it's enough to say, all right, we're getting rid of him in this situation. But yeah, all right, we'll see what happens with Tucker. Next question from Splinter Cell. With the draft in Green Bay being such a success, according to seemingly everyone, do you think that it guarantees a future?
Detroit Lions fans.
Except Detroit Lions fans. Do you think it guarantees a future Super Bowl at Lambeau? No.
There will never be a Super Bowl at Lambeau.
I think that would be super sick.
It would be unbelievable. And we were talking to someone who said the 100th Super Bowl 100 at Lambeau could be pretty cool.
It will never happen.
I just think it's all now they're going all domes and indoor stadiums, right?
Yeah, that's what they want outside. It's funny. Sometimes when we're doing this show, we do it right next to a window down here. And every now and then you just have like a fox trot across the yard or a deer come through. It's a little like Snow White back here. The little magical neighborhood is, as we're doing the show.
What dwarves
Usually
would you
outside
be?
my window, it's thunderstorm. There's a thunderstorm right now.
If another one.
If we were 3 dwarves, what dwarves would we be?
No.
Let me look up the
question.
Let me look up the 7 dwarves.
There's
Sneezy.
Oh
wait! Do you remember Ziggy one time? Sorry to go off the rails.
This is to be a long story.
No,
this could be. This is off air. This is Ziggy off air.
This is so funny. When we were at, it'll take 2 seconds. We were at trivia. Like one of the first times we went to trivia, it was
this show's a disaster.
Me,
Jack,
Zach.
This might be the worst show we've ever done.
It was me, Jack, Zach. Both our dads were there. My brother was there, and the last question of the 4th round is always a gimme. And they're like, in Snow White and the 7 dwarves, how many dwarves were there? And my brother looks around the table as we're all sitting there, and he goes like, 7 guys, 7. And Mr. Weinberger's unbelievably smart. But we were just been going to trivia and didn't realize yet that this was like the gimme. And he goes like, it just feels like it's too public of an answer. He goes, were there 8? And at that moment, I was writing down the names of each of the dwarves, and I wrote down like Sleepy twice. So I had 8 on the list.
Okay, there is an 8th dwarf.
Sure. But like in the movie, at least, is what they were going for. And
but in the script, there's 8.
Who's the 8th?
Creepy.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say it. Well, anyway, I wrote down sleepy twice, and I look, and I'm like, oh my god, there's 8, and my brother just flipped out. He's like, Snow White and the 7 dwarves, 7. Anyway, though, if we were going to have 7 dwarfs, I would say Zach is sleepy, right?
Yes.
That's pretty easy.
Yes.
That's crazy.
I mean, you have to be. Jack. Who do you think you are, Jack?
I don't know the other. I don't know the other dwarfs. Ziggy's grumpy.
Bashful.
Ziggy, Jack, you gotta be dopey, right?
Yeah.
I like Dopey.
Dopey's lovable.
No,
Everyone
Dopey's Dopey. He's my favorite dwarf, I think.
Everyone loves Dopey. So Zach's sleepy. Jack is dopey. Then there's Ziggy. Could be Ziggy.
I don't get to be Doc.
Doc. I feel like Ziggy could be a good Doc.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And then what am I?
Bashful.
Yeah, there's bashful, sneezy, grumpy, and happy.
You're optimistic, Paul. We got to go.
I'm probably just happy out of those guys.
You're the boring one out of all.
Yeah,
so happy.
you're just happy.
Yeah, this is not a mailbag question. This is something that just happens.
All right. We'll continue on there. That's pretty funny. Let us know which 7 dwarf character you think we are. James Library, also a member. James says, and thank you, James. You always leave a question. Awesome to see you guys hanging out in Green Bay. How are you guys feeling about Cam Ward to the Titans? I feel like he's been the least talked about first overall draft pick of the last few years. Keep up the amazing work, guys. Ziggy, you shaking your head?
He is not the most, the least talked about first round draft pick of the last several years.
He might be talking about quarterbacks.
No, I think he's talking number 1 overall.
Yeah,
right?
no, number 1. He's talking number 1 overall. Well,
he's not the least talked about number 1 overall draft pick of the last few years.
What, Trayvon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Cam Ward, the fact people are talking about how he's not talked about already means he's talked about
Trayvon?
Less than Trayvon.
Trayvon Walker.
Or more than Trayvon
Walker. Remember the Jaguars?
Oh, yeah.
They took him before.
You don't even remember the guy.
Yeah.
But I think he might be talking about, it's Trayvon Walker. But I feel like in this situation, maybe we're referring to quarterback specifically.
Sure, but all right. We'll go over the premise of the question. How do we feel about Cam Ward to the Titans? Probably won't succeed.
I mean,
by the numbers, that's just true. The chances are better that it won't succeed than that it will. If your goal for success is like long-term franchise quarterback, he'll probably be an okay player. Maybe things will work out. Probably not.
Yeah,
I don't think we've gotten any new information that we didn't have in like February when it was clear he was going number 1 to the Titans.
I mean, I think he'll be good. I do believe that him going number 1 this year is kind of pushed up the board just because of like team needs. But he was a dude. He was at Washington State last year, and he was good. No one knew who he was when he was at Wazoo.
People are saying that Drew Allen would be great.
Except for me.
Yeah, Jack thought he was great.
But then people were pushed up.
But then he transfers to Miami, a country-known program, has one great year, and now it's like, oh, this guy's the next. So I mean,
if you had to guess between the first-round quarterbacks last year of Jayden Daniels, why is he saying Jayden McDaniels? He's Timberwolves. Jayden Daniels, Caleb, Penix late, Bo Nix. Like, where do you think which one of those guys do you think if you looked at Cam, said, yeah, he'll have success with that guy? Or is maybe not even any of them? They were all pretty successful.
Jayden Daniels is better.
Drake May.
I compare him to maybe like a Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
I think he's better than
and
Cam
Bo
Ward's
Nix
better
is
than
drafted into a dream situation.
Cam Ward's better than Caleb.
Going into next year, would you rather have Bo Nix or Cam Ward?
Probably Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
Well, again, I gotta see.
Yeah, no, it's hard.
But Bo Nix had a good season in the NFL.
Yeah,
and that already means more than what Cam
so I'd say Nix, but it could be Ward. I don't know.
The more I look up and down the Titans roster, I don't know. I don't know how, when we talked about JJ McCarthy going to a great spot, Bo Nix going to a great spot, Jayden Daniels was in a decent spot. I mean, he also played unbelievable. Caleb Williams went to a good spot that needed some improvement with the O-line they got for him this year. I think Cam Ward's with Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, Treylon Burks. That's not screaming to me, oh, this offense will carry him. I think he's going to have to be the guy to carry the Titans offense.
We know historically we're really bad at predicting how good a quarterback situation will be.
You're talking we or you're talking us or the general media?
Evaluative community writ large. Patrick Mahomes was widely seen to be going into a mediocre to bad situation in KC. Now, people have forgotten that because when he showed up, everything got so good. But people are wondering the offensive line isn't great. The weapons aren't great. Like, you just never know what a team's going to be. And quarterbacks elevate the guys around them so much.
Yeah.
Like, you see this all the time.
Yeah, where if Cam Ward comes in and he's awesome, we're going to be talking about Calvin Ridley and Treylon Burks in a much different light. And Tony Pollard, all of a sudden, is going to be back to the
I mean, look
Tony
at
Pollard.
Jayden Daniels last year. It was seen as one of the worst situations in the NFL.
Yeah.
But because he was good and he made everyone better around him, people are saying, oh, they're one or two pieces away from a Super Bowl level offense.
The Titans also, their offensive line had issues last year. That they did sign Dan Moore. And now they didn't have any crazy signings this offseason. They got Kevin Ziegler for right guard. So they made some improvements on their O-line. They drafted a ton of rookie receivers. And was it Restrepo? Was he
his
Miami?
old Miami
Yeah,
teammate,
they picked him up as an undrafted free agent. So the Titans took the approach that they just threw a ton of darts at the dartboard and are hoping some of those pieces are going to improve the offense. Cam Ward being good will be the ultimate dart that they throw. And if he works out, then I would be really surprised if the Titans had a jump the way we saw the Commanders or Texans had.
Yeah, but you're always.
But you can't rule it out.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
can't rule.
this
You
is
can't
what
rule
we
these
said
things
last
out.
year about Washington.
Yeah,
and Daniels
just
surprised
don't know.
everybody.
And
If you're a Titans fan, your hope is that Cam Ward can be what Jayden Daniels was.
We have been a little spoiled the past few years, though, because normally you don't have rookie seasons. CJ Stroud and Jayden Daniels had back-to-back each year. Everyone said that's the best rookie quarterback season we've ever seen. So we'll see if that's just the trend now, is that the rookies are getting better and adjusting easier.
Cam Ward has so much experience, he'd better.
Which probably isn't the case, but in all likelihood, Cam will probably have his ups and downs, and the Titans will win 5 games or something like that. Or 6
Maybe
games.
they'll win the division.
But you never know. You never know. We continue on here from Tyler. Panthers fan from the draft. Just wanted to say thank you guys. You were incredible. Paul shook my hand twice. Appreciate you, brothers. It was awesome meeting you, Tyler. Remember,
he was the Panther. I remember him.
we were over at the statues, and he came over.
Yes,
We were like,
It's hard to forget a Panthers fan
Oh,
at the draft.
he was a cool dude.
And it was awesome meeting you as well, Tyler. JK Zarada, a member, and JK always is extremely generous for us. Was the Green Bay draft a one-off exception for your guys' show to show up and experience it live, or could this become an annual tradition for you guys to go to the drafts now?
Oh, if we get credentialed, we're at Pittsburgh next
Yeah,
year.
man,
Guarantee it.
I would love to go to next year's draft.
Yeah, I think
It's up to the
we'd like
NFL.
to. Yeah, I think we'd like to keep going to as many of them as we can. Now, it depends. If there's Seattle, Jack would probably
I'd
lead
love
a
to go to
charge to
Seattle.
Seattle. So yeah, hopefully we can go to a bunch. Joey's Woodshed says there are reports the Vikings will host. Oh, here we go. Host a 29 draft. Seeing as the Green Bay draft was a success, do you think the draft in Minnesota would be just as successful?
No.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
It'd be much more successful.
much more successful. No. It would be. I think what Green Bay get, like
600,
600, maybe close to somewhere between 600,000 and 700,000. Minnesota, just double it.
No, there'd be 700.
I mean, like Detroit had more people than Green Bay, and of course, Detroit's bigger. Well, Minnesota owns both. Those
Minneapolis
cities.
would put on a good draft. Minneapolis.
There'd be more Packers fans and Vikings fans in Minneapolis at the draft.
Great. Who cares? Fans are fans.
But maybe it'll get the numbers just because Green Bay fans will show up, and cause there's no Vikings fans.
I mean, Green Bay fans will get to see
a very
what a
large
real...
fan base.
No, you don't.
We have a great large fan base.
No, you
Vikings
don't.
fans are the best.
I
Our
feel like-
fan base is bigger than the Packers fan base.
I'd say you're
I don't know. If
I'd say you're like bottom 12.
Prove me wrong. You can't.
I think I think I can. I'm almost positive the Packers have a larger.
The Packers have a larger fan base than the
I don't
Vikings.
think so.
That's just. I mean, it's just a fact.
Well, the Vikings have.
Oh, you're supposed to be on my side.
The Vikings have easily a top 10 fan base in the NFL, though. A fantastic fan base. They show out to everything. We are loyal to the core.
We traveled very well last year.
We
People forget.
travel well everywhere. We're a great fan base. You have to be a great fan if you're a Viking fan, because otherwise you'd abandon ship 35, 50 years ago. JJB, now that the draft and free agency for the most part is concluded, please rank the NFC North rosters from best to worst and what possible holes each team still possess. Rosters, so this includes everything. This includes quarterback, because I know I feel a little differently.
Well, and we'll be doing this in much more detail later this. Is it later this week?
Nah,
Soon we're going to have our post-draft power rankings coming through.
Yeah, they'll probably be later this week. Ziggy, do you have an initial NFC North roster rank off the top of your head?
So it's tough because, as we've talked about, I think you can see any of these teams winning. Unfortunately, I think if we're ranking the rosters honestly, it's probably got to go Vikings, Bears, Packers, Lions. I think that's really the only defensible ranking. Caleb Williams has shown more than JJ McCarthy. I mean, I think you can swap the Vikings and the Bears if you want, right? Caleb Williams has shown a little bit more, but he wasn't outstanding. The Vikings roster is a little bit better otherwise than the Bears roster. But clearly, number 1 and number 2 are the Lions and the Packers. I think the Lions, they've got the better players than the Packers just overall. The defense makes a huge difference. The receiving core makes a huge difference. Jared Goff, I think, is not that far from Jordan Love. You might have questions about the coaching, but that's not part of the roster. The Packers, though, if a few players step up, could take that number 1 spot. But there's 2 tiers really in the NFC North. There's the Vikings Bears tier and there's the Packers Lions tier. And that's
wait a second. How much of that do you think is, if you strip quarterback, like how much of that do you think is JJ McCarthy being the Vikings quarterback?
All of it.
All of it. Okay.
If you give, I mean,
if you
those
strip
tiers
quarterback,
are just tracking the quarterback performance tiers. That's all it is. Because all of these rosters are solid rosters.
yes. Okay.
There is no team like the Giants or the Patriots or whatever, especially before the draft, where there's basically no talent on the roster, like the Titans. Like all of these teams have rosters where if you put in a very good quarterback, they'll be very good teams.
If you strip the rosters of quarterbacks, I know that this is unfair to say because it's the most important position, but if you were to strip the quarterback, I think I'd put the Vikings second. Maybe
I put them at number 1.
maybe even first
behind the Lions.
Yeah, I actually would probably put them number 1 in front of the Lions.
I mean, I'd go.
But quarterback is everything.
I'd go Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears, and I'd put Minnesota 3 only because they have Jefferson.
But yeah, he is that good.
Yeah,
like
so
he really
that's
is that
why he's
good.
ahead of, that's why they're ahead of the Bears.
The Vikings, perhaps more than any team in the division, they have so much star power, and like they really do on the offensive line, receiver, defensive line, like at those critical positions. The only problem is that we have the least experienced quarterback and the most unproven
I mean,
quarterback.
this is the most quarterback away I've seen a team since the 2000 Baltimore Ravens.
Or the 09 Vikings before Favre came. Let's go on here from Jackson Harvey says, with the addition of the Packers' 2 new receivers, what 2 would you let go in the wide receiver room? Well, now they have Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Golden, Watson, Dontavian Wicks, Savion Williams. It would probably be, well, they just signed Mecole Hardman. It's probably going to be.
Hardman is, he's only there as a special teams player. I think he would easily be the first to get.
Hardman and Wicks.
There's the Bo Melton and Malik Heath are there too. It depends how far down the depth chart we're going here.
Also, I mean, you have to keep in mind Christian Watson is the one who's not going to be on the roster for most of the season.
Yeah, I would probably say Malik Heath would be the first to go.
Yeah,
out
Watson's
of them.
probably their best receiver when he's playing. Though.
And then because how many receivers are you keeping? Like 7 or so? Like how many would they?
I thought it was less. That was like 5.
I don't know. How many receivers do teams typically keep here?
It depends a lot. I think the Packers are going to keep a lot of them because I don't think they want to let these guys go.
Well, they're good. Yeah, I would
and I'm
say.
not sure. Like compared to other positions, I don't know how many of those guys are clearing waivers and making it back to your practice squad.
Yeah, I would probably say. I mean, if let's just say pretend the 9 I read off, I would say it would probably go Heath, then Melton, then Hardman. Maybe
I think Hardman's at the bottom. I think
maybe
it goes
Hardman last. Yeah,
Heath, Melton.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Okay, Eli Ice says, who will be the consensus 1, 2, 3, and 4 ranked QBs by the end of the season in the NFC North? I go Love, Williams, Goff, McCarthy last. Come on. What do you think, Jack? It's a neutral party.
Goff, Love, McCarthy, Williams.
All right. So you think by the end of the year that Jared Goff will be the best quarterback in the NFC North?
Yes.
If Jordan Love turns in another mediocre season, that's how it will be.
Goff,
again,
Love,
I don't think he will because I think it was injuries. But if he does, Jackson's right. That's a realistic possibility.
It'll be
Caleb's last.
I think it'll be Jordan Love number 1. I think he's going to bounce back from injury nicely. It'll be JJ McCarthy 2. Everyone will see once with all the weapons, once he's healthy, that this guy is special, Brady-esque. 3 will be Jared Goff, and 4 will be Caleb Williams.
See, I think
they're all going to be very good.
I understand the temptation to put him there, but you have to keep in mind how good a season JJ McCarthy would have to have in order to be over Jared Goff.
No, I'm messing around.
Because it wouldn't just be having a better season than Jared Goff, right? Over the past 2 years, Jared Goff has thrown for 67 touchdowns, 24 interceptions, and over 9,000 yards. It's like JJ McCarthy would have to have an unbelievable, maybe even an all-pro season for me to put him confidently above Jared Goff.
He doesn't have to play Corum. He's screwed.
He's Aaron Jones.
Corum's better.
Maybe, but he is Aaron.
Corum went undrafted.
He has
It's
Jefferson.
fools.
He has Jefferson.
I would have drafted Corum.
Jefferson's more valuable than Blake Corum.
No, not for McCarthy.
I think Jordan Love will be. It's really, this is the hard thing about all these NFC North rankings. Is
it's gonna
I
be
think
Goff.
there's also
Goff is amazing.
he is great. Well, I mean, you saw the playoff game.
There's a consensus. Caleb's last. That's what we know. Consensus 4. And then
Goff is awesome, but Goff, again, this was the fear, is that Goff does have, and he hadn't done it for a long time, but he does have the implosion ability.
I mean, so does Love.
Most quarterbacks do. Most quarterbacks can implode.
Yeah,
But
unlike Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy, who surely don't have the ability to implode.
I'm talking. I've broadened the scope of quarterbacks we're discussing here. Goff is very good, but there is the Ben Johnson factor here. There are things to consider. I think Goff is awesome. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback in football, but I think he's very good, and he's perfect for what the Lions have been doing. But when the year ends, if I had a gun to my head, how do I think the quarterback rankings will go? I think they'll probably go Love, Goff, then take Caleb McCarthy. That would probably be it. If you're looking for the realistic answer. But obviously, I think JJ has the best situation around him of all the guys, including Jared Goff.
JJ's better than Williams.
Thank you. I think if you stripped quarterback and said you guys get to pick which offense you're a part of, I think they would all. What?
Never mind.
If you remove the quarterback from the discussion and said for each quarterback you gave them the opportunity to pick what offense do you want to be a part of, the number one choice would be the Vikings, and then the number 2 would probably be Detroit. 3 would be. Would 3 be Chicago?
Nah, I still take Green Bay, I think.
With Adunze and DJ Moore, revamped offensive line, DeAndre Swift. Would you put Chicago over Green Bay, Ziggy?
Quarterbacks out.
Let's say you're the quarterback. You get to pick your offense.
I'd go with Golden and Reed.
I'm going Green Bay. The
Yeah.
thing about Chicago is we haven't seen the fixed offensive line. The defense is also a work in progress. The receiving core, I think, is good, but I think is a little overrated. I think there's a lot of big names there. So yeah, I'm sticking. Rome Odunze hasn't broken out yet. I'd take Green Bay.
You got a great smile, Ziggy. Does anyone ever tell you that?
Yeah, I mean, thank God the counter has blocked my lower half here.
Nathan Smith. Well, I do. Nathan Smith says, which
With that-
division is more likely to have
With that
2...
blue shirt on, too. You see that?
That's a nice shirt. Which division is more likely to have 2 or more teams get 10 or more wins this season? The AFC or NFC South? So let's say this here. Ready? Let's pretend the Texans and Bucks will get to 10 wins, okay? Can we say that? 10 wins?
No.
I know we can't say it definitively.
Those
but
are the 2 most likely teams who could.
yeah,
right?
those are the
Texans
2 most
and Bucks.
likely teams that can.
The
I
Saints.
think the Falcons are better than the Bucks.
So you'd say the Bucks then.
So would you say
So
the
you'd
NFC
say
South?
Falcons, Bucks.
Yeah, I think it's easily the NFC South. You have to keep in mind, I guess NFC South teams have very easy schedules. Some of the AFC South teams have harder schedules. No, I'm sticking with the NFC South.
I think I might go AFC South.
The NFC South plays the NFC South plays. Oh, I'm sorry. They both play the NFC West this year. The NFC South plays against the AFC East. The AFC South plays against the AFC West, which is
Yeah, there's a big difference there.
But like Jacksonville, out of all those slew of teams who are not like take away the Texans and
take away the
Yeah,
Texans and the Bucks.
I think Jacksonville is the most likely team next out of all of them to reach 10 wins.
Well, it would be the
Yeah,
Falcons.
but I think that the bottom feeders of the AFC South are going to be better next year than the bottom feeders of the NFC South, which you also have to consider.
Yeah, well,
The Bryce Young stuff was an illusion. The Saints are terrible.
Yeah, there's no way the Panthers or Saints were.
I think there are 3 outside of the top 2 teams. We said I think it's the Falcons, the Jags, and the Colts would be the teams that have potential to win 10 games.
The Colts don't have potential to win 10 games.
Colts won 8 games last year. They were disaster.
Yeah, they were. It was unbelievably fortunate they won 8 games.
Was last year when the Jags had 8 wins, or was that the year?
No, they had
before?
4 last year.
No, I mean they started the year when 8 and 8.
No,
and
2
3.
years ago they were 8-3.
Right. Yeah.
And then last year was an utter nightmare.
But now you got like
I mean, the
Hunter
Falcons
and-
make sense. The Falcons would probably be number 2 on that list. But I think the Jaguars have potential. Like I think the Jaguars have potential to actually be a pretty good team this year. The Falcons, I would be utterly blown away if the Falcons won a playoff game.
So would I.
The Jaguars, if the Jaguars got way better this year with, new guys coming in, like I wouldn't be.
Oh, yeah, Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars have potential to actually make a little noise this season, which I did say last year, and it was.
I did.
I think I'll go with the AFC South. I don't think the Falcons are winning 10 games.
I'm going to AFC South too.
Okay, this will be interesting. POV Fishing says post-draft NFC North offensive line rankings.
I will.
Jack will take a step back
I'm
for a
abstaining.
second. He goes Lions.
No
he goes.
idea.
We'll keep this quick. He goes Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings. A lot of offensive line additions within the division this offseason. You are right. I think you have to keep the Ziggy. Tell me if you agree or disagree with me on these. You got to keep the Lions at 1 right now. Ragnow and Penei Sewell are awesome. I actually think I put the Vikings at 2. Given their tackle situation, all these.
I don't buy the Aaron Banks, Elton Jenkins move to center. I think Aaron Banks is a below average player of the 49ers.
So would you put Packers or Bears?
The run
3?
blocking last year was horrible.
Would you put Packers or Bears 3?
I'm putting the Packers at 3. The Bears, we don't know at all what it's.
That's what I have.
Like.
I have Lions, Vikings, Packers, Bears.
Continuity means a lot on the offensive line. More than anything, a good offensive line is an offensive line that's coordinated. Now, I think the Bears could take a step forward, and I think by the end of the year, they'll be better than at the start. But there's old guys, there's injury risks. I mean, the Vikings, it's that way too. But I think Sam Darnold made the offensive line look worse than it was last year. We're getting Darisaw back. The run blocking was better than the Packers. I totally buy Minnesota having a top 5 offensive line. I do not buy it for the Packers.
So we got Lions, Vikings, Packers, Bears is ours. XX Zeppelin says, who you got in the 100 dudes versus Silverback Gorilla? Love the show.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth. I think 100 dudes would take it, though. I mean,
it would be easy. 100 dudes would destroy a gorilla. Is that
they
why
wouldn't? They wouldn't. They would not destroy.
They would
gorilla.
crush a single gorilla.
No way.
100 dudes would destroy.
Silverback gorilla.
A better thing is 35 dudes versus a gorilla, or 40 dudes versus a gorilla.
I already have the answer, and it's the gorilla.
Not versus 100 guys.
Not versus 100.
Yes.
I might go 50 or 60.
The first person that dude kills, guess what it becomes? A club.
Oh,
No, what do you mean stop it? The first thing it becomes is a club, and that thing's taking out 5 at a time. You think 5 swing? I'm taking it. 20 swings from it. Oh, everybody's done.
Did you see a
the
silverback?
primatologists unanimously agree that the human beings would need to coordinate extraordinarily well, better than they'd coordinate in any actual situation. No, the gorilla wins.
Did you see the gorilla?
Human beings can't coordinate.
Could bench 2,500 pounds. I saw some stats.
It's too many people.
I agree, but
It depends. It all depends on how it's actually presented here. In that, if you have fear as a real factor, where the guy's I don't want to die, then it's a different discussion.
But if you bring that in, you also have to bring in the gorilla's going to get tired a lot faster.
You have to bring that in. No, the gorilla has no shot against 100
I
people.
think 60 guys would be a good.
If human beings get access to basic tools, the human beings win.
No, we don't get
No,
that. I think we're in a field and it's just go. It's go.
Yeah.
I actually think
the human beings have to coordinate extremely well.
Oh, we could talk, Ziggy. We can talk and we can.
I mean, a gorilla would bash our skulls.
Well, no, there would be a lot of deaths. There would be a lot of
but
unfortunate
if the human beings don't care and they can coordinate well, the gorilla has no AoE attack. The gorilla is largely, it's going to get tired. The gorilla will be really good for 5 or 6 minutes and then it's out.
I'm not sure I think this is the better discussion is there any animal that can go against 100 people? Land animal, let's just say. It's elephant. Would an African elephant take on 100 people?
If anything, it's probably a big silverback gorilla.
No, I think a gorilla gets.
No, the African elephant solos the silverback gorilla.
I think you're underestimating how insanely strong and huge.
No, I
think
you're
silverback gorilla
underestimating
is.
how
the African elephant can lift 10,000 pounds, Jack.
Yeah, I would take that over humans too.
We're talking about there are 4 animals that even cross my mind when we talk about 100 versus
an
1.
Ape take an object 200 pounds and throw it a football field? They're insane.
No, they're crazy, but they can't beat 100 people.
100 is not as much as you think it is.
I think that there are 4 animals that cross my mind. There's only really one that I consider. It's the elephant, rhinoceros, Hippo, I think we would be, and like a polar bear. Those are the only ones that I think are even like you could even mention them. But I think I'm pretty good.
I'd go with 100 guys in a very close match.
Would you go 100 guys or polar bear? Because a polar bear beats a gorilla.
No, I think I would take 100 guys over pretty much anything.
I don't think a polar bear beats a gorilla.
But polar bear would destroy a gorilla.
You're underestimating a gorilla.
No, you guys are on. I don't think you guys know a lot about gorillas or polar bears or anything. Nor do I, but I know enough. Like, do you know how big? Listen. What's the weight? Zach, can you get the weight of a Zeke? Can you get the weight of a silverback gorilla?
Sure, I'll get the weight of a silverback gorilla.
But weight doesn't mean
a male polar bear weighs 900 pounds.
All right, but weight.
Polar bear is beating the crap.
No, but weight isn't like everything here.
It's a lot. Look, 500 pounds is a lot.
I have stats on a silverback gorilla I can pull up right now that will blow your mind.
Wait, what are you arguing right now that a gorilla beats a polar bear in a fight?
Yes, it does.
No. I think a polar bear could take on like.
I mean, the gorilla's got the better bite, but I think the difference.
What are we talking about? The polar bear.
Gorillas can bite better than bears.
I don't care. The polar bear.
The difference in size, though,
look at
means
this.
that the bear wins easily.
Can hurl a 200-pound object over 30 feet. Silverback gorilla.
900 pounds.
It doesn't matter. The grip powerful enough to crush a crocodile's skull.
You're thinking
over
of King Kong.
You don't understand.
Over 1,300
really
pounds of force.
I think you're thinking of King Kong and not like
this says a silverback gorilla.
No. I think you're thinking that the gorilla's
bench press up to 4,000 pounds. Well, that's the argument, Paul. It's a massive, strong silverback versus 100 men.
Look at
that thing benches 4,000 pounds. That thing kicks the crap out of a polar bear.
No, it's not.
Yes, it does.
It's half its size.
Do you know what a silverback gorilla is? You're an idiot.
Yeah, but this isn't a bench press competition.
I'm aware it's not. But you guys don't know how strong silverback gorillas actually are.
Yeah, but
you're saying over 400 pounds.
A polar bear weighs quite a bit more. So if it runs at you, it's going to exert more force.
It weighs more. I think a silverback gorilla is.
How tall is a silverback?
Are we forgetting that gorillas have opposable thumbs?
Are you also arguing for the gorilla over the
I love the gorilla. The gorilla is the right answer.
Yeah,
silverback gorilla is the right answer.
The polar bear is 1,500 pounds.
No.
I'm not taking one thing over a gorilla.
No. I promise you. I promise you that it wouldn't be close.
Oh, you promise?
I promise you.
Oh, Paul promises. Our polar bear. Move on.
It wouldn't be close.
Oh, you promise. Move. Next question. Paul promises. Polar bear wins.
So you like Jack? I've got to ask.
No, Paul promised. Polar bear wins. We're on to the next question.
No. I have one question for you. So how much can the gorilla bench?
Not as much as me. Next question.
4,000 pounds.
4,000 pounds is a lot, right? Do you know how fast polar bears can run?
How fast?
About 25 miles an hour. So take a 1,500 pound.
Okay, so how fast can
have it go at 25 miles per hour?
But
that's going to be exerting about 37,000 pounds.
A polar bear can't crush your freaking skull like a gorilla can.
If you get hit by something with a force of 37,000 pounds, you're done.
A gorilla can take anybody's head and just crush it. One by one. Crush.
A car crash. No.
Yeah, but you're saying, okay, you know what? Now we're just getting way into it. And this is a football podcast.
Yeah, we'll move on. Paul promises polar bear, so we'll move on. It's the next one.
I can start a live matchup of who would win a gorilla. Okay, I've really gone way too far into the internet here. Let's continue. That wasn't even his main question. He said, with all the media talk of JJ McCarthy being the next Tom Brady, is the most Vikings thing ever if he's just mid or a bust and Sam Darnold
where's that
goes
media
on
talk
to be a
coming
Hall
from?
of Famer?
Who would say that JJ McCarthy's the next Tom Brady?
Well, that sounds like a smart analyst right there.
The same dummy
It's
says
the
the polar bear beats the gorilla in a fight.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's not close. I'm telling you.
We're not bringing this back up. We're done.
That would not be the Viking luck. The Viking luck would be for JJ to be pretty good, and then we have some horrible loss in the NFC Championship game. From Mercury Road 55, Minnesota is the land of 10,000 lakes. They also have not won a Super Bowl. So my question is this: how overrated is water? Water is the best drink in the world.
How overrated is water?
Yeah, water's not overrated. It's sensational.
That might be the worst question you've ever asked.
If anything, water's
no
underrated.
Disrespect.
If anything, water's underrated because people will love these like juices and sodas and beer and Gatorade, and water flies under the radar. If anything, to me,
Those
it's
things are mostly water.
like if anything, it's
What
underrated. to
could
me.
orange juice do without water? It's just concentrate. Who wants to drink concentrate?
I mean, let's just
No
forget
one.
about the impact that water has on other drinks. As a drink alone, if I'm super thirsty, get me an ice cold water. It's delicious.
Middle of the night, you wake up.
I mean, a good cold Coke is pretty good too.
That's right there.
Demolinator says, settle an argument. Is Brock Bowers worth a first-round pick in fantasy this season?
Probably not. What, if you're
No.
going 12-team league?
Yeah, if you're in a
It's
12-team
not a
league.
top 12 pick.
What?
I actually know nothing now about. I got to look into.
Well, back at the,
into
I'm
that.
thinking about over the past few years, Kelsey has gone where, like 9 or 10 for a couple seasons. So if you're projecting a Travis Kelsey-esque season from Bowers, like you can make the argument that there's a
Yeah, but
world.
how can you do that though?
No, I don't think you can. And the reason is, one, you had years and years and years of
I
production.
mean, Brock Bowers wasn't even tight end 1 last year.
He had a lot of promise I don't think he's a first round
In
pick. I'm
fewer
just trying to
games,
play
George
devil's
Kittle
advocate.
put up more points, and you want me to believe that Brock Bowers is worth a first round pick?
Yeah, no, I
You know
don't.
how
I
many
don't
more
think it's
points Brock Bowers scored than Jonnu Smith?
How many more?
14.
I think that they're talking about the
You
potential.
know how many
of
more
Brock
points he
Bowers.
scored than Pat Fryermuth?
How many?
Well, let's not insult.
50.
Let's not insult.
Well, 50 is a lot more points. That's
You're not spending a first round pick to get 50 more points than an option
Pat
you can get in like the
Fryermuth.
15th round.
no. We're at least we're another year away from Bowers being a top receiver in the league with Geno Smith proving
You know
that
how
he
many
can do
more
it.
points Jamar Chase had than Justin Jefferson?
How many?
60. So the gap between just Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson is bigger than the gap between Brock Bowers and Pat Fryermuth, who was TE10. No.
Yeah, I agree.
The gap between Jamar Chase and the equivalent Lad McConkey was 120 points.
I would take him in the first round to spite
Not
everybody
even
and win the
close.
league.
Michael Morrell, I think he had a question. We'll throw these two in real quick. Which team has the biggest question mark at quarterback, the Giants or the Browns?
The Browns.
Do you believe Dart or Sanders will be week 1 starters?
Dart.
I mean, the Giants don't have a question mark. It's very clear who's their quarterback long term,
I think
at least for the next couple of years.
I think the Giants have a very clear. We're gonna start with Russell Wilson, and then eventually that'll probably collapse, and they'll throw in Jaxson Dart at some point in the season. The Browns, I actually think Shedeur has a much better path to starting week 1, though. Like, there's just no one there. There's like that room is wide open. The Giants is Russell Wilson will be the week.
The
1 starter.
Giants are set with Russ early on, yes. Where the Browns is a legitimate competition.
Like if you had a gun to your head here,
Who knows? The Browns apparently loved Dylan Gabriel. Who knows if Shedeur ever starts?
But you have
for
gun to your head. You have Deshaun Watson. Oh, he'll be hurt. Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. Who do you guys think right now starts week 1?
the Super Bowl champion,
Gabriel.
Kenny Pickett, Gabriel. I think I'd pick Shedeur.
They picked Gabriel because he's pro ready. They like him.
Gabriel's better than Shedeur, too.
I think I pick Shedeur. Which NFC North team had a better draft that makes them contenders towards Philly?
NFC North?
Yeah. The Packers did a nice job getting some
Yeah.
receiving help.
Yeah.
I think
But
the
we
Lions.
talked about this before the draft. Like none of these teams were teams where they really needed. Like drafts are not the place where you acquire players to beat a particular team next year. That's just not what the draft's for.
Mhm. I did like what the
So
Lions did.
I don't think it
building up
really
their
makes
lines.
a difference for any of them.
Yeah, well, it depends on which guys wind up being high impact players, but I think the Lions did a really nice job building up their lines like they had to. The Vikings can't really be in there because they just didn't have enough picks, and I didn't think they made any crazy moves. I like the weapons the Bears got. I like Loveland and Burden. I think that they could help elevate that offense. But I would say in terms of getting closer to Philly, the only real teams right now that we're talking about are the Lions and Green Bay because we just don't know enough about McCarthy. So I think the Lions helping their lines when that's what Philly is. That's their hallmark right now. I'd say Detroit.
I say Green Bay, probably.
Yeah, I mean Golden
Give
was
a-
a huge addition.
He can, Golden Edition helps Jordan Love out, reaches max potential.
Okay, we are just about at the end of this mailbag here. The final questions we have is, let me just pick which one I want to go with. These are kind of similar questions. POV Fishing, another one. Nathan Sparks said, with the new offseason additions, what do you guys want to see from the Packers' young but not star level players? Edgerrin
Catch the
Cooper,
ball.
Edgerrin Cooper, Lucas Van Ness, Morgan, Williams, Valentine. For the rest of the NFC North young guys as well. That's a good one. For
the only thing you
Packers.
want to see him is to play good football.
Yeah, I think you just want to
Good Ziggy.
get some. I think you need
Good.
consistency is what you need. You know what you need? You need at least one of them to turn into a star. We've talked about this a few times now. I don't know. I haven't checked the pulse of Packers reporters lately, and I know that people say we're a Packers show. We're an NFC. We're a football show that has a heavy focus on the NFC North and a heavy listening base of Packers fans. So as far as for people who specifically and only cover the Packers, I don't know if they necessarily agree with our take or my take. That's been they need a couple they need a guy who emerges as a star on at receiver. They need a guy who emerges as a star on the edge.
I mean, but you can't. With the way the team's set up, they can't win a Super Bowl without that. So I buy it.
Yeah. So I think that's what you want. If you want everyone to be consistent, and you need one or two guys to take a leap. I don't think that's a crazy thing to ask for from any of these guys either. We're saying be consistent.
No, but it's a crazy thing to ask from all of them at once.
Yes, that is true. That is true. All right. Any final questions? You guys, any final additions to the mailbag? Jack, nothing.
I'm celebrating Cinco de Mayo after this.
Cinco de Mayo will be good. A little margarita action, perhaps.
Margarita, some tacos.
Yeah, nice. Zach, appreciate you stopping by today.
Yeah.
Good luck tomorrow. What time is the wake up call?
Not too bad. 4:45.
Not too bad.
So a little under 12 hours from now.
Crazy. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone for listening. We'll be back later this week. I think we're going to do our joint power rankings later this week, which will be pretty fun because I feel like that 7 to 10 range can go all over the place again. So we'll see what happens there. Until then, we'll see you next time.